Audience for talk about who's listening to this.
Um, I mean, as we've talked about before, I mean, I would really want small businesses who know they need online marketing, but also don't have time to fuss with it. So that's who I hope listens to this. It's kind of that same target audience for all my other services, as as and those are the people that might want some help with the Google Analytics 4 transition as well. So that's who I'm looking to help with this.
So these small business owners, these mostly really small, possibly even solopreneurs, right, that are getting their notices right now from Google that says you have until July 1st, or the world's going to come to an end. And then in really small print it says we're just going to migrate you over anyway. What's the difference between allowing them to just migrate you over anyway versus somebody like you?
Well, if you let Google migrate automatically, there are some things that they will not enable that you might want enabled with the new analytics. So
You don't have to like give the specifics, but like the gist of it is important for the
yeah, I
listener
mean, so
to
there are some
understand.
things that you might miss if you let Google set it up for you. And I don't think even Google's figure out exactly how to transition settings in Universal Analytics, which is the old version, into settings for the new GA4, because the data that they're collecting is essentially different. It's the new data is based on events, so things that actually happen on your website. The old data is based on sessions, so sort of like the time you're there and when it's a whole different way of tracking things. So the numbers are not, even if you have information and from last year in Universal Analytics and hold it up to new information from Google Analytics or 4 to compare, they're not going to look the same because things are being measured differently. But back to your original question, the GA4's automatic process is going to miss some of the things you might want to be collecting from the get-go.
So I have a website, and a long time ago, maybe I put in the Google Analytics code and set it and forgot it and really never even looked at them. Or I get a report from Google every once in a while that says, "Oh, you had X number of users visit your site." Uh, why should I care about Google Analytics, especially GA4?
Well, you should really care about any analytics. I mean, there are a bunch of reasons, but essentially, and you know this from your Scrum experience, what gets measured gets changed, gets managed, and what doesn't get measured languishes. So if you want your website to languish and not do anything for you, don't look at your analytics. But if you want it to do something for you, like if you want it to if you want to use it to reach people with blog posts, or if you want to sell stuff, or if you want people to subscribe to your newsletter, you need to pay attention to your analytics so that you can see how people are moving through your website. Does the pop up subscribe to my newsletter now, does that work versus just having a box on every page that asks people to subscribe to the newsletter? So then you can compare, you can contrast and go, oh, that worked or that didn't work, and then use what works and throw away what doesn't work. And then actually a website should be a constant iteration of itself. You should always be adding to it so that you're building your business. It's like having a store. I mean, you wouldn't set up a store one way and then just sort of let the shelves empty out and not refill them. I mean, you want to keep track of the stuff you're selling in your store, and then as people are buying it, you replenish it, or you sweep the floors so that it stays clean for the next day. I mean, there's it's kind of the same thing with your website. It's like your store on the internet. So there are things you have to do to attend to it, and paying attention to analytics is one of the basic ways of tending to your website and your business.
So what happens if I have a website up and it's probably been up for maybe, 10 to 15 or 20 years, and really I haven't touched it since then, right? Does this matter? Like, will
Well,
Google Analytics help me get positioned better?
well, all by itself, Google Analytics will not. I mean, looking at your Google Analytics won't change anything. However, if you have a website that hasn't been touched in 10 or 15 years, you're not ranking in search at all, because one of the ranking factors is whether or not your content is updated. So you can, how that meshes with analytics is you can look at analytics and see how much of your traffic comes from search versus, how much comes from your mother-in-law, who every now and then types in your website address just to see that it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if you're using analytics, you can tell, well, this traffic that comes to my site is coming from organic search. And if you want that to increase, which you should, um, you make changes to your site to help increase your organic search traffic, which means usually that your website is ranking higher on the search results pages.
So if I were to hire somebody like you versus me going in there and dinking around with it, what am I going to get for the payment that I give you for you to do this for me?
Well, you get all that time back. You get you don't have to dink at all. Um, you get some sense of comfort knowing that it's done right, and when the transition it takes place, you're not going to lose any data. You'll be able to go forth and be merry, and continue to work on your website. And eventually, as you use the new analytics tool, you'll be able to track more stuff. You'll be able to see how things are working on your website even better than you can now in Universal Analytics, because it's tracking events, and those you can set up certain events to be conversions. So, for example, if you want newsletter signups, for example, to be a conversion, that's one of the goals of your website is to get people to sign up for your newsletter. Then that can be marked as a conversion, and then you can track those. You can say, okay, my website's working because I've got this number of conversions, or it's not working because I have that number of conversions, and then make changes to fix that.
And say I have my original Google number thingy thrown in Squarespace or WordPress or Blogger or whatever. Um, will you go in and help me update that number to the right place?
Are you talking about the account number or the?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. That'll all be. That's primarily what I'll be doing is updating to a new account number and making sure that that stuff is showing up in the right places in WordPress or in Squarespace or in Google Tag Manager, whatever it is you're using um, to manage that stuff for your website.
Awesome. And what if you're in there and you notice that maybe my website needs some updating? Are you able to help me with that?
Sure. Yeah. I'm
Is that included in the fee?
no. I might give I might give I might give you some quick advice, included with it, included in the fee, but actually making changes, I wouldn't include, that would not be included. But I mean, anybody that works with me gets a little bit of me. So if I see something, if I see there's a problem that you can fix or that I can fix for you, I'll let you know.
And why should I use you and pay you versus just doing it myself?
Well, I mean, the big reason there is saving time. I mean, if you're not working in this stuff every day, it takes time to figure out, where do I start? Where do I go here? Let me read this quick article on Google. Oh, that's not right. What should I search for? Oh, okay, I found it. Okay, now what do I do? And you spend a lot of time, a lot more time than I just spent talking about it, figuring out how to do this stuff. And you may as well let me spend the time to do all that, and you don't have to worry about it. You can run your business.
Awesome. Any other parting thoughts or ideas for maybe uh getting successful to get rid of these emails from Google that are saying, July 1st is coming.
Yeah, so I think we're going to keep getting those emails, even though we've already changed over. I mean, I've already changed over, and I'm getting those emails, and I don't know why. It's just Google being Google. So once the transition is in place, and you keep getting those emails, you can just ignore them, because you'll be all set.